I'm going to be answering 4 questions that were raised by the same student. Each of them very good. First one is that after 20 to 30 minutes of practice, this person feels very uncomfortable with pressure in the middle of their back, between the shoulder blades. And it comes almost like pain and is a nudge to lie down on their back on something hard and flat. Now the pain decreases in the sitting position and there's no pain or discomfort between practicing. This is a sure sign of Qi stuck or stagnant on Do My vessel and in between the shoulder blades and the upper back qua. Very, very common. Most of it is down to our posture, especially when we get tired and we start to slouch and slump and things get physically stuck and then energetically stuck. I'm going to answer this question is going to answer part of question 3. There are exercises that you can use to free up the Qi in the upper back qua. A number of them are like the opening exercises, works with the upper back qua. So when you're doing these the exercises, the arms swinging round work with the upper back qua, as do these exercises if you let the arms go loose. When the arms are pulling forward like this, I'm holding my arms up obviously, but when they're swung forward like this, it opens out the upper back, helps to open the qua. I'm going part way to answering question 3. When you see an exercise like this, I'm going to do 2 different exercises. First one is a water exercise, working with kidney and bladder. And it looks like this. And now I'm going to change that and I'm going to do an exercise, Qigong exercise for the upper back qua. And it looks the same. Externally looks very similar. And I'll show you this in profile as well. The first one. We're here working with kidney and bladder. And now changing that to work with the upper back qua and with Do My. The second one is used to free up all that stuck Qi. Now the reason you're feeling this discomfort is that you're experiencing more and more of the Qi as you continue with your Qigong. The quieter you are, the more in tune you are with your Qi, the more you will be aware of stuck Qi, stagnant Qi, lack of Qi, where the Qi is weak, the flow is weak. And you'll feel that all over the energy body, not just the physical body, but you'll feel these discomforts or this feeling of emptiness all over the body. And you need to use your Qigong to deal with that. Right, next question. I better read it again. Okay, let's deal with question 2. This is about the relationship between Qigong and feeling drowsy. You said that it's a good idea to separate Qigong and sleep. One of the first benefits I experienced through practicing Qigong was that it sorted out all of the sleeping issues I had before. You answer somebody else that she needs to close down chakras, etc. before going to sleep. But I'm not working on opening the chakras at all yet. At least, I don't think I am. What would you recommend to do before going to sleep then? Please don't say, just calm down and read a book. I would never say that. Okay, let's have a look at that relationship. When you practice Qigong, your brain waves, your brain patterns change. So you go down into alpha wave. Most commonly, you reach that stage just before going to sleep. Very relaxed, you're nice and comfortable in bed, you want to go to sleep. If you feel like that after doing Qigong, you've already been programmed through your life that it's time to go for a snooze. What I mean by breaking that link is during the day. Break the link so that you are completely relaxed, but absolutely wide awake, absolutely aware. And it's amazing how much more you experience, how much more vibrant colour is, how much more vibrant life is. The other thing, you're talking about the chakras. Some of the Qigong that I teach, we're working especially with third eye. And if you leave that open, then it can lead to difficulty in getting to sleep. So you close that down, get yourself settled down. It means you're going to have a good night's sleep. Recommendations for sleep. Okay. You can do specific exercises that calm the yi or calm the shen. What's the difference? The yi is your cognitive, reasoning brain. Thinking about work, thinking about a wedding plan or a holiday plan. That's a yi. The shen is your consciousness, your higher self. And when it's firing off, it can be like 1,000 fragments of thought. You're not thinking about anything in particular. Just these fragments coming in. Nonsense, but it keeps you awake. There are two different exercises that I teach on a regular basis. Both get the same name, but work differently. Getting back to that. Question 3 again. They look very similar, but they do completely different things. And it's pressing palms and calmness from the Shibashi. You do it one way, it calms the yi. If you do it the other way, it calms the shen. Now, you can firefight and wait until you go to bed and you're lying in bed and you are active, brain's active, can't get to sleep. And then you get up out of bed and you get through an exercise. And then you get back into bed. That's firefighting. What you can do is program yourself. So you practice that exercise. When you finish practice and you are in a really calm state, then you choose a hand posture for yourself. It's very private. It's a mudra. You choose the one that you want to link that state of mind with, and you make it. So for me, when I'm working with the yi, for me, middle finger and thumb of my left hand. If I'm working with my shen, middle finger and thumb of my right hand. Two different triggers, two different things I'm dealing with. The other thing you can do is, rather than getting up out of bed, is just to work with Heart Governor 8, centre of the palm of the hand. Press it. Now you're not just pressing. This is like Qigong. Qigong isn't waving arms. Qigong is moving Qi. Here you need to focus. So you focus on Heart Governor 8, hold that for 10 or 15 seconds, do the other side, hold for 10 or 15 seconds, And that has the same effect as working with the Shen. So that's what I would recommend for getting to sleep. Don't firefight. Program yourself so that you can access that state of mind very, very quickly. Time to read time to read question 3. Hold on. Right, question 3 memorised, at least I think it's memorised. Today, during the Wednesday evening class, we were doing Connecting Heaven and Earth, which to me looks exactly like the one that we do as a 5 elements exercise. From an outside point of view, of course. Are the movements the same, but with different focus? Simple answer to that is yes. The movements are almost identical. It's rather like that exercise I showed you for question 1. Here is a water exercise. Here for the upper back qua and do my, the top end of do my, between the shoulder blades. Rather like change the sinews. Here's one way of doing it. 5 elements. Here's another way of doing it. The 8 exceptional vessels. Externally, very, very similar. Internally, they are absolutely poles apart. They're completely different. And it's the same with Connecting Heaven and Earth. If we have a look at, I was going to say Connecting Heaven and Earth, but change the sinews. The name of it tells you that, excuse me, originally working with tendon sinews. So originally this exercise might have been, instead of this soft and deliberate focus, tension, 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 relaxation, tension, working with the sinews. But as it came down through different lineages, through different masters, by practicing, they started to understand that the exercise would do different things. They kept it secret, of course. 2 masters in the same village never shared anything. So one discovers that it's a great 5 elements exercise, and the other discovers it's a fabulous exercise for accessing the extraordinary meridians, the exceptional vessels. It's the same thing for Connecting Heaven and Earth. As far as I know, there are only 2 versions of this. 5 elements and 8 exceptional vessels. If I look at the 5 elements, anybody watching this bit of video, you're not going to learn from this. Okay? All you're going to see is the physical and hear me talking, a few buzzwords. As a 5 elements exercise, I start off working with metal, then with wood. Now my focus, I'm not going into here, makes it a wood movement. It makes this an earth movement. It's not the arms that are doing the Qigong, it's the mind and the focus. It makes this a water movement. And makes this a fire movement. It's the Yi that guides the Qi. It's the Yi that determines what the arms are doing, what the breath is doing, where the eyes are looking. The Yi does all of that. That's the guidance. The Shen, your consciousness, does all of the listening. So that was me focusing on meridians, on entire meridians accessing them in particular ways to get the chi flowing. Now, if I do the same movements, but I'm working with the 8 exceptional vessels, I start off by triggering the master points for Yin Chau Mai. When that's triggered, I let my arms come up. And now I trigger the master point for Ren Mai. When my hands come down, I trigger the master point for Chong Mai. When it's triggered, I let the arms come up. As the arms come down, I'm triggering the master points for Yin Wei Mai. And it goes on. With that version, with that exercise, you're not working with the meridians, you're ignoring the meridians. Okay, get the meridians out of your head. You're working with the exceptional vessels. The quality of the chi in the vessels is different. Quite markedly different. The way it moves is different. The way it moves your body, or the perceived movement of your body, is different. If you've already studied the 5 elements version, and then you go on to try to do the 8 exceptional vessels version, I've often heard the term of you need to empty your cup. You need to forget everything you've been told in that one before you can do this, and vice versa. Think about it this way. Today I've got my 8 exceptional vessels hat on. That's the job I'm doing. I take it off. 5 minutes later I can put my 5 elements hat on. I can do the exercise within minutes of each other, moving the chi in completely different ways, but moving it accurately. Okay, not getting the two of them mixed up. One hat for one job, the other hat to work with either the elements or the exceptional vessels. So that's the difference. It's in focus. You can move the chi around without moving a muscle. You can stand in Wu Ji and create the same triggers, because everything is from the Yi. I hope that answers that one. I've forgotten question 4 already. I better go and read it. Right, question 4. I'll see if my memory is any good. When I'm practicing, especially meridians, Qigong, working with the meridians, quite often I have very tangible sensations around the hands and the lower arms, and coming a bit higher up than the elbows on the outer side of the arms, so on the yang, and in the middle of the palms, which are much stronger than what I'm trying to focus on. Is it correct to notice that and refocus the attention to where it's meant to be? Okay. For most people, where they will first experience chi is in the hands. For some people, that's the first place they feel it, and it's also the last place they feel it. They never get beyond that. They get stuck because they're looking for it. They're not listening for it. What's the difference? When you're listening, the sound comes to you. When you're looking or feeling, you're pointing in that direction and you're focusing in that direction. When you're listening, you're passive and that information comes in. The hands can become very, very active. Acknowledge that. Accept that. But don't get stuck there. Let's say you were doing a wood exercise. Okay? Neither of those meridians, gallbladder and liver, neither of them come into the hands. So you do an exercise and you're focusing on liver meridian, the inside of the leg, gallbladder, so liver coming up to the ribs, gallbladder coming up the side, across the shoulder, back and forward, the side of the head. The exercise you're doing is focusing on that. But you have awareness of this movement in the hands. Fine. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. Accept it's there. Don't ignore it. But don't get blinded by it. Don't be drawn like a moth to the flame. That's when it'll start to spread. So accept it's there, but listen to the entire energy body. What's a good way of me describing this? Okay, back to my car driving analogies. You're driving a car. You've got 3 friends in the car, so there's 4 of you in the car. 3 of your friends are talking to each other. You're not talking because you're driving. And you're aware of them chattering to each other. But you need to be aware of the street that you're driving in, the other traffic, the pedestrians, the signage. You need to be aware of that. Now, you don't drive down the road doing this. You've got an overall awareness. I hope you don't drive down the road doing this, but you have an overall awareness. You're aware of the noise in the car, but you're not allowing yourself to be distracted by it. So when you do your Qigong, I'm now going to change from being a wood exercise and I make it a metal exercise, working with lung and large intestine. And I'm working with lung and large intestine, and I feel a little bit of movement in lung, a little bit of movement in large intestine, but a lot of movement in liver and or gallbladder, because I'm aware overall. That movement in both of those meridians is because I'm working on metal. Metal controlling wood. It's freeing up anything that is starting to get stuck or get sluggish, and you feel this extra oomph, these pulses going through when you're working. The Yi, as mentioned in previous answers, is what focuses. The Shen is what listens. The Shen then tries to tell the Yi what the Qi is doing, but they don't speak the same language. The reason they don't speak the same language is because the brain only knows the language of the physical world, what we've experienced. And that's why when you get, I was going to use sensations, experiences with the Qi, when that Qi feels like a dozen different things mixed up that shouldn't be mixed up. You've never seen mixed up. But you get, well, it's bubbly or it's tingling, but it's orange or it's green or it smells like, I don't know, chocolate. I'm making this up. But you get sensations of smell, taste, colour, texture, temperature. That's your brain interpreting what the Yi is getting. It's interpreting those messages from the Shen. Focus on the guidance, driving the car, awareness of the traffic round about you. That's the rest of the body. I think that's about the simplest way I can answer that one. So that's the 4 questions done.